Okay, here's the translation of the news report into English, keeping the bracketed terms exactly as they are. ## news report transcript. Global energy crisis reaches peak after Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Intense, somber music rises and then fades slightly. Anchor *. Good evening, viewers. Our special report tonight covers the global energy crisis escalating to an unprecedented level. The primary cause is the tense situation in the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most vital shipping lanes, and Iran's threat to block it, impacting the global economy broadly. Our report will delve into the current situation, its impact, future trends, and analyze the associated business risks in detail. Graphic showing a map of the Strait of Hormuz and shipping routes. Reporter, live report from GKN News. I'm, reporter's name, reporting live from GKN headquarters. The situation in the Strait of Hormuz remains closely monitored after Iran has taken several actions indicating a possibility of blocking this waterway, including deploying mines and issuing warnings that it will retaliate if its interests are threatened. This follows reports of attacks on Iranian infrastructure allegedly involving the United States and Israel, significantly escalating tensions between Iran and the U.S./Israel. Anchor *. How significant are these actions by Iran? And why is the Strait of Hormuz such a strategically important choke point? Reporter *. The Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf with the Arabian Sea. It's a narrow waterway, but critically important for global energy transportation. Approximately 20% of the world's crude oil volume must pass through this strait. If blocked, it would severely impact the energy security of countries worldwide. Furthermore, the United States' continued role in attempting to keep the waterway open, including threats of military force from former President Trump, further increases the risk of regional conflict. Graphic showing statistics on the volume of oil passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Anchor *. How is this tension impacting energy prices and the global economy? Reporter *. The most visible impact is a sharp spike in crude oil prices, currently exceeding $100 per barrel, potentially reaching as high as $200 per barrel if the Strait of Hormuz is actually blocked. Oil prices have risen more than 40% since the beginning of the year, putting inflationary pressure on the global economy and forcing central banks like the U.S. Federal Reserve to carefully reconsider plans to reduce interest rates. Graphic showing fluctuating energy prices. Reporter *. The impact isn't limited to energy alone, it affects various sectors broadly. The transportation and logistics sector faces higher costs. Airlines like Qantas are forced to raise ticket prices. Industry is struggling with increased energy costs, leading to reduced profits. SCC, a major petrochemical producer, has announced temporary factory closures to cope with this crisis. There's also concern about rising food prices due to disruptions in the fertilizer supply chain, which largely passes through the Hormuz region. Anchor *. And what's the situation like in Thailand? What impacts do we need to monitor? Reporter *. Thailand is also affected. We are facing higher energy costs. The government is considering various measures to mitigate the impact, such as postponing road construction projects and promoting work-from-home arrangements to save energy. Graphic showing the situation in Thailand. Anchor *. What international movements are there? Reporter *. The United States is pushing for a multinational naval force to be stationed to protect the Strait of Hormuz, but faces challenges due to differing interests among countries. China is attempting to manage the situation cautiously, focusing on long-term power accumulation and the ability to cope with oil price volatility. Saudi Arabia is increasing exports through alternative routes like the Red Sea, but at a higher transportation cost. ASEAN is adjusting energy pricing mechanisms from market systems to financial measures and regulations to manage the crisis. Graphic showing international movements. Anchor *. Given this situation, what's possible next? And how can we deal with it? Reporter *. Analysts warn that even a temporary blockage of the Strait of Hormuz could lead to a severe global economic recession. Threats from Iranian officials about oil prices potentially reaching $200 per barrel if the waterway is blocked highlight the seriousness of the situation. This conflict underscores vulnerabilities in the global energy supply chain and raises questions about future energy security strategies. Intense, somber music rises slightly. Anchor asterisk. We will now move to our second segment, which will delve into the financial impact on companies involved in this crisis and analyze it in depth using principles that we will not mention any specific strategies to avoid naming them, so that viewers can understand the situation from a business and economic perspective. Music transitions to a more upbeat tempo. Reporter, financial analysis. In this second segment, we'll examine the impact of the energy crisis on related companies, particularly those in the energy sector and industries reliant on energy. We'll use accounting and financial tools to assess the situation and identify opportunities within the risks. Graphic showing financial statements of various companies. Reporter asterisk. Starting with SCC, a major petrochemical producer, the announced temporary factory closures will inevitably impact sales, and net profit. While it may reduce production costs in the short term, it will negatively affect market share, and company credibility. In-depth analysis shows that SCC has a relatively high debt-to-equity ratio, which increases the company's risk of dealing with worsening situations. Reporter asterisk. Looking at the overall petrochemical industry, we see that companies with strong financial structures and the ability to adapt quickly will be the ones who survive and grow. Meanwhile, companies with high production cost, and a lack of flexibility may face serious problems. Graphic showing financial ratios of various companies. Reporter asterisk. Let's look at the consumer perspective now. Airlines that are forced to raise ticket prices directly impact consumer spending, and can slow down the economy. In-depth analysis shows that the elasticity of demand for air travel is low, meaning price increases won't significantly affect demand but will cause some consumers to reduce their travel plans. Reporter asterisk. In our third segment, we'll summarize the overall situation and offer philosophical insights to guide us in dealing with this crisis. Music transitions to a more relaxed tempo. Anchor asterisk. Welcome back to our final segment. As you can see, this global energy crisis doesn't just impact the economy, it also reflects the uncertainty and fragility of the world system. Graphic showing a peaceful landscape. Reporter, conclusion. The situation in the Strait of Hormuz is a significant obstacle but also an opportunity for learning and adaptation. In Buddhist terms, we might view this crisis as suffering, which is part of samsara. Attachment to expectations and security leads to more suffering. Letting go and accepting change are the paths to true happiness. Reporter asterisk. Our in-depth analysis shows that even though the situation seems dire, there are opportunities for companies and individuals who can adapt quickly and find creative solutions. The key is to learn from the past, prepare for the future, and maintain a balance between material possessions and happiness. Music fades out gently. Anchor asterisk. That concludes our special report.